Okay, y'all. It's time to get back in. Time to go deeper. Time to hit it harder. And listen and see more. And guess what that's gonna be? Just joshing with you. But actually, in all seriousness, we're looking at more SCP. Y'all probably thought I was doing something else, didn't you? No, sir. No, sir. Actually, you know what? The trim's looking pretty good. Not bad for a random chick doing it. Anywho, so. Alright, where's my cursor at? It's disappeared. It's disappeared. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is a request from Discord from, actually, let me remind myself. I think the concussion is still ongoing from my motorcycle accident. As you can probably tell, I'm crazier than I usually am. Well, yeah, these are from Norman Lobby, who is one of my current MVPs on the channel. He's also a member of the channel. By the way, click that join button. That's down below. There's 2 different tiers. They're both cheap as hell. That's the best way to support the channel. Everything else, it's whatever. So, SCP-3008. Why does that sound like an IKEA order number? Why does it sound like an IKEA order number? Don't ask me why I know that. The Infinite IKEA, Euclid, Extra Dimensional SCP. Since I like all shit SCP, I'm going to like this too. I know that. Y'all ready? I'm ready. Let's get into it. Oh, wait. This is the Vulcan. So, like, all we're going to see is, like, this screen and then, like, text on one side. And that's all we're going to see. I mean, that's acceptable. But, I mean, come on. We need images and flashy things and possible seizure causers and stuff. I don't know. We need triggers. Let's go.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Miller, and the SCP we're going to be looking at today is SCP-3008. Object Class, Euclid.
I'm not going to lie, I've forgotten completely what the object classes mean, but I have a feeling Euclid is like, you can contain it, and then Keter is like, you can't contain it, I think, and then Thalmiel is like God level stuff or somebody let me know in the comments. My brain has not been working since, was it Saturday? Was it Saturday or Sunday that I got hit? I forgot which day. Somebody remind me that too. God damn. I can't even remember when I got hit by a freaking car. Like, alright, let's keep going.
Special Containment Procedures. The retail park containing SCP-3008 has been purchased by the Foundation and converted into site. All public roads leading to or passing by site have been redirected. The entrance to SCP-3008 is to be monitored at all times, and no one is to enter SCP-3008 outside of testing, as permitted by the senior researcher. Humans exiting SCP-3008 are to be detained and then debriefed prior to the administration of amnestics. Dependent upon the situation of their stay in SCP-3008, a cover story may need to be generated prior to their release.
Wait, wait, no, it says duration. I just caught a typo. That was auditory. Oh, it's an SCP. It was probably that SCP that's a typewriter. Wait, is there even a typewriter SCP yet? Ooh, I'll have to look into that. If I remember to do so. Yeah, something. An auditory typo caused by an SCP typewriter. Maybe that's what they're using to, like, do all these, text things, this text stream. Maybe that's what happened. He said situation on purpose instead of duration. Let's keep going.
Entities exiting SCP-3008 are to be terminated. Description: SCP-3008 is a large retail unit previously owned by and branded as IKEA. a popular furniture retail chain. A person entering SCP-3008 through the main entrance and then passing out of sight of the doors will find themselves translocated into SCP-3008-1. This displacement will typically go unnoticed, as no change will occur from the perspective of the victim. They will generally not become aware until they try to return to the entrance. SCP-3008-1 is a space resembling the inside of an IKEA furniture store, extending far beyond the limits of what could physically be contained within the dimensions of the retail unit. Current measurements indicate an area of at least 10 kilometers squared, with no visible external terminators detected in any direction. Inconclusive results from the use of laser rangefinders has led to the speculation that the space may be infinite.
That would be crazy. I've known some people who like IKEA. I even helped them put together some of that stuff. And the fact that the laser rangefinder could not get a range at all. Like, I imagine that the people that I knew and know who liked IKEA furniture, for whatever reason, not my cup of tea. But yeah, whoever, like, you know, if they were to go to an IKEA and then get stuck in their favorite, like, furniture chain forever, they'd probably lose their marbles. Probably. Or they'd be shopping forever, not realizing that every time they rang the card, it just never charged them, and they were just trying to walk out with furniture and got nowhere. Like, oh, and I know, oh man. Just imagine those who just can't really get a grasp on a situation. Imagine those type of people where it's like, oh, this is happening? Well, you know, like, if I get 12 slices instead of 8 slices of pizza, and it's still a large pizza, I'll be eating less pizza if I eat only 12 slices. Or something like that. Oh no, because they think that because the number of slices is actually 8 instead of 12, that it's lower calories. Those type of people will probably get stuck in an IKEA and have no idea what the hell is going on. And just sit there the whole time like, I guess I'll keep shopping. Like, can you imagine that shit? What's really sad is people like that exist. And they're not even diagnosed with anything. That's just, like, they just don't use their head.
SCP-3008-1 is inhabited by an unknown number of civilians trapped within prior to containment. Gathered data suggests that they have formed a rudimentary civilization within SCP-3008-1, including the construction of settlements and fortifications for the purpose of defending against SCP-3008-2. SCP-3008-2 are humanoid entities that exist within SCP-3008-1.
Of course. It couldn't be something already as just scheisse as, you know, or mierda, right? As an infinite IKEA. No, there has to be things in there that most likely are hostile. Like, of course, that's pretty much par for the course at this point, right?
Superficially resembling humans, they possess exaggerated and inconsistent bodily proportions, often described as being too short or too tall. They possess no facial features, and in all observed cases, wear a yellow shirt and blue trousers consistent with the IKEA employee uniform. SCP-3008-1 has a rudimentary day-night cycle, determined by the overhead lighting within the space activating and deactivating at times consistent with the opening and closing times of the original retail store. During the night instances of SCP-3008-2 will become violent towards all other life forms within SCP-3008-1. During these bouts of violence, they have been heard to vocalize phrases in English that are typically variations of, "The store is now closed, please exit the building." Once day begins, SCP-3008-2 instances immediately become passive and begin moving throughout SCP-3008-1, seemingly at random. They are unresponsive to questioning or other verbal cues in this state, though will react violently if attacked.
This kind of reminds me of those like nurses from Silent Hill. That's what this kind of reminds me of. Like the nurses, they're like in that one spot, unless I'm mixing up the games again, which happens. But there was like nurses in one spot where you like, or was it the movie? Damn, my brain's not working so hard. I mean, well, yes, that. But yeah, there's like either in the movie or in the game, there's like nurses, they have to like try to get around, and if you make a sound, they all get on you, right? So you gotta like throw something somewhere else to like distract them, I think. I think that's how it worked. Or somehow you had to like sneak around them, since they would just stand there unless they were engaged. That's what it kind of reminds me of. But somebody else let me know. I bet when I led with nurses and paused for a second, a lot of people were like, probably mostly guys. I said nurses, and immediately a bunch of brains went straight somewhere else. Of course. Hey, nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
SCP-3008-1 is known to have one or more exits located within, though these exits do not appear to have a fixed position, making it difficult to leave SCP-3008-1 once inside. Using any other door besides the main entrance to enter the structure or breaking through the walls of the retail unit leads into the non-anomalous interior of the original store.
Wait a minute. The exits don't have a fixed position. So the exits are always moving. So it's kind of like, okay. Making it difficult to leave once inside. Using any other door besides the main entrance to enter the structure or breaking through the walls of the retail unit leads into the non-anomalous interior of the original store. So when they try to get into this SCP, they end up in an original IKEA that's not the SCP IKEA. I think I grasped that one. But let me know if I'm wrong. Okay, I think I know. I think I got it.
Since containment began, 14 individuals have managed to exit SCP-3008. Following extensive debriefing, all individuals have been administered amnestics and released.
Well, good thing it wasn't 13, otherwise you would know it was really bad. Haha, get the reference? Number 13, a lot of people are super suspicious about it. Or they're like no, not suspicious. Why is my brain not working? Okay, that's what I get for a blow to the cranium at 50 miles an hour. Anyway, but yeah, people are superstitious. Fug of, like the number 13. That's what I was implying. Like. Oh, 14. Woo, you're good, man. You're good. They all escaped. They're perfectly fine. No bad effects from them, right? 13 escape. And those 13 could be another different type of SCP that was spit out by the SCP that holds people inside the SCPs. Or something. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. But wouldn't that be hilarious? They think, oh, they're fine. Turns out they're all actually like SCP 3008-2s, and they all somehow found a way to actually copy human beings and act like them and stuff just to get out. Wouldn't that be some shit?
Incident 3008, 1. At 0:37 hours on 2000, a human male exited SCP-3008, followed 10 seconds later by an instance of SCP-3008-2. SCP-3008-2 caught and killed the man before itself being terminated by an armed response personnel. This incident represents the only time an instance of SCP-3008-2 has been seen exiting SCP-3008. A full autopsy on the corpse was performed. See 3008-2 autopsy log for more details. The man was carrying an IKEA branded journal seeming to document his time in SCP-3008-1. Transcribed below verbatim. So, I'm writing this to document what I can only assume is my sudden descent into insanity. I can't possibly be that bad a navigator. And yet, as I write this, I've been trapped in IKEA for 2 days. I haven't seen another person in the entire time I've been here. I thought it was a prank at first. Turn the place into a maze, get all the people out, and see how long it takes me to get lost. Then everyone has a good old laugh. Realized that wasn't the case when I tried to backtrack. Everything had changed, so I ended up lost. Instead of the exit, it was just row after row of bookcases. So I'm trapped in an IKEA. Sounds like the setup for a bad joke. The lights went out at 10 p.m., nearly giving me a fucking heart attack. That loud electrical thunk sound, and then pitch blackness. Place is full of beds though, and my phone has a torch on it. But no damn signal. So I found a bed and went to sleep. Spent most of the day trying to find my way out with no luck. Did find a restaurant serving those meatballs though, so at least I won't starve. That's probably the punchline to that joke. Anyway, they were still warm and fresh, but I haven't seen anyone around who could have cooked them. Made my way back to the beds before the lights cut out again since it's too dark to search with them off. It's 9:10 a.m. now. The lights came back on a little while ago. I'm sure I've searched the entire area where I came in now, and the exit obviously isn't here, so I'm gonna pick a direction and hope for the best. Day 3 of my magical IKEA mystery adventure. If I wasn't sure that there was something seriously weird about this place before, I am now. Walked for 3 hours in a more or less straight line. Insert IKEA joke here. Before I came across a ladder next to one of those huge stock shelves they have here. Climbed up to get my bearings, and it looks like this place just stretches on forever. Like that scene from The Lion King, except instead of trees and grass, it was all shelves and tables and crap. I did see a person moving not too far away though, so I headed over. Thought it was a staff member at first. It was wearing a uniform. Hell, maybe it was. Maybe freakish 7-foot-tall monsters with long arms, short legs, and no faces are just the kinds of thing that they want working at a super IKEA. Damn thing completely ignored me though. And with no eyes or ears, I can't even be sure it knew I was there. Thought about shoving it or something to get its attention. But its hands were big enough to crush a watermelon, so I decided against it. It just kept moving, and I eventually lost sight of it, so I decided to carry on the way I was going. Anyway, no comfy bed for me tonight. Looks like I've entered the improbably hard and pointy table section of the store. Guess I'll have to make do with some bunched up tablecloths. Phone battery died during the day too. Didn't work anyway, but I feel like I've just lost some vital lifeline. You ever see one of those cartoons where they're going through doors in a hallway and they just pop out of another door in the same hallway? That's how I feel right now. I've seen nothing but the same identical bookshelf for 2 days now. Just row after row after row of them. I mean, come on! I love books just as much as the next guy, but this is excessive. I'm obviously still moving forwards though. I can see the signs hanging overhead passing by. Too bad none of them say exit. Not sure who I was addressing that question to. Let's just say it was practice for the autobiography I'm gonna write when I get out of here. I'll call it my perfectly normal trip to a regular old IKEA. If I ever get out of here. Finally found some other people. Yeah, turns out I'm not the only poor bastard trapped in here. Lucky for me, I guess. My 6th night here, 2 of those staff things came at me in the dark. Different from the first one I saw, but still messed up. Heard them coming. They were saying that the store was closed and I had to leave the building, all nice and polite like. I'm not sure which part of that was weirder, that they didn't have mouths, or that they were apparently trying to kill me while they were saying it. Came at me like rabid dogs. So I legged it, sprinting through IKEA in the dark like a fucking madman. I saw it when I cleared another stand in front of those giant stock shelves, all lit up with torches and floodlights. They've built a whole town here. Got a massive wall built out of shelves and beds and tables and whatever else. I swear to God it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Anyway, I guess they saw me coming, or they heard my manly bellows of fear, because they had a gate open, and 2 people were there
Funny how he skipped over the girlish part.
waving me in. Heard the staff thing slam into the gate behind me after it closed, still politely informing us that the store was now closed. They wandered off eventually, though. They call the town Exchange, because that's what's on the sign hanging from the ceiling directly above it. Exchange and returns, all lit up against the night, using lights they found and plugged into the power lines. And there are beds, and food, and people. Over 50 wonderful people, with regular-sized limbs and a full set of facial features. It's now my 7th night here, and the first one not spent in darkness. A full week living in IKEA. There's probably a TV show in that somewhere.
You think? If anyone ever gets like if anyone gets the idea to like do more with the Creative Commons that's been developed from the SCP, like just existence, Bub, I wish I had the skills to pull something like that off. I wish I did.
Now that I'm around other people, I'm starting to feel more normal. Maybe normal isn't the word, but after a week with only the sound of my own footsteps for company, I was becoming increasingly sure that I'd just gone nuts. That I was tied up in some padded room somewhere, banging my head against the wall. But no, I feel quite sane now, thank you very much. Apparently there are other towns out there. Some with more people, some with less. I found that fairly mind-boggling. How can that many people go missing with no one noticing? Surely someone would have noticed that everyone who goes to IKEA seems to f***ing vanish. Or maybe it's not everyone. Maybe we're just the lucky ones. The people here just call those staff monster things the staff.
That is an interesting question, because we don't know exactly why it is that nobody's paying attention to this, right? Because for all you know, it could be cover up by the SCP Foundation. It could be that the amount of people that go missing every day is so voluminous. There's such a volume of people. I can't even say that word. Been having that trouble all day. It could be that there's such a volume of people going missing every day, just like in our world, right? We all see the signs, we all see the advertisements, we all see the missing posters, we all see the BOLO lists and all that stuff. Thousands on thousands of people disappear every single day. So if it's the same as it is like here, you know, I imagine so, then it's basically, you know, they are unable to handle the volume of people that go missing. And that's why they always reach out to the public for help. If they didn't need the public to help them find people, there would be no missing people or missing persons lists. Right? If they were able to do it all themselves. So yeah. I imagine it's the same thing here. This guy's probably thinking from like the little safety bubble that's been built in society but also he's got the SCP Foundation, who's like covering everything up and keeping it under wraps, right? So it's probably, doubly as bad. But that sounds exactly like the world we live in right now, doesn't it? So yeah, I imagine that's the case.
Apparently they're fine during the day, minding their own business, walking the aisles. As soon as the lights go out, they go f***ing bonkers. So, during the day, people go out to find food, water, and whatever else they need. Apparently there are restaurants and shops around that get randomly restocked. No one knows how. Maybe the staff do it. Apparently they aren't very good at their jobs though, because the restocking sometimes takes a while, which means the food needs to be rationed. Maybe if they weren't so busy chasing people around in the dark, they'd get more done. Anyway, when night comes, the staff go nuts and everyone holds up inside the walls. Apparently it's the same everywhere in this place, wherever this place is. Your IKEA, from whence all other IKEAs sprang. Or maybe we're all still just in the regular IKEA and this is all some fever dream brought on by a mind-numbing boredom. Who knows? Been here for 10 days now. Most of the people I asked said they stopped keeping track a long time ago. And one guy, Chris, said he'd been here for years. Years. Apparently there are rumors of people who do manage to get out, and people who see the exit only to have it vanish before their very eyes. I get the feeling not everyone believes that, but I do. Explains how he got stuck in here in the first place. Sort of. And I mean, come on. Staff monsters, row after row of high-quality Swedish furniture. I don't know why they would find a disappearing door so hard to believe in.
Yeah, how do people cope? They pretend like stuff doesn't happen until it happens. Supreme cope.
Anyway, I went out scavenging for food at a nearby shop with Sandra and Jerry today. Once you learn the landmarks of this place, it's not so hard to navigate. The overhead signs help a lot, but there are others. Not too far in the distance, a huge section of those giant stock shelves is collapsed against each other, and way off in the east, we all assume it's east anyway. Apparently IKEA doesn't sell compasses. It's some kind of tower that looks like it's made of wood. Reaches all the way up to the ceiling. Maybe they were trying to break out through the roof. It lights up at night, so there must be people there. But apparently, it's a few days' walk, which means it must be miles away. So no one here really knows for sure. Apparently I got incredibly lucky sleeping out in the open for a week without getting ripped to bits by the staff. That's me. Lucky, lucky, lucky. We found some food in the shop. Guess the staff restocked it during the night, which was nice of them. There was a telephone on the wall, so I figured I'd try it out. There was a voice on the other end, but they were just talking nonsense. Random words strung together with no real meaning. You ever see a video of someone with aphasia? Kinda sounded like that. Didn't answer me when I spoke to them anyway. Sandra says all the phones in here are the same. Oops. Asking the journal questions again.
Is he finally going crazy? Seems like he's going crazy.
I was thinking last night. The ceiling on this place is pretty high, and as far as anyone can tell, it goes on forever. Shouldn't there be some kind of weather in here? I'm sure I read about some NASA building that was so big it had its own weather patterns, with clouds and stuff. This place is definitely bigger than that, but now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure I've never felt so much as a temperature change in here. I'll add it to the grand list of weird bullshit. The staff attacked the exchange last night. Must have been 20 or 30 of them all just asking us to leave the store, calm as you like, while trying to smash the walls down with their bare hands. Apparently this happens pretty regularly, so everyone is prepared for it. Knives from the restaurants, lawnmower blades made into hatchets, a fire axe. One guy, Wasim, even made a functional crossbow. Anyway, The walls have holes in them, which I hadn't noticed before, specifically so we can stab out at the staff when they attack. Took a couple of them down myself. They don't seem to bleed, which is weird, but they go down as easy as a regular person once you start sticking holes in them. We had to haul the bodies away in the morning. Apparently the dead ones will attract more during the night, so we had to get them away from exchange. We have a couple of those trolley things they use to move big boxes around, so we loaded them up and took them over to pickup. Apparently people just name everything in here after whatever sign is hanging overhead.
Which makes sense. Keep things simple, keep things neat and organized. Makes sense. Makes sense. Also, yeah. Anything dead's going to attract something alive, right? People will get intrigued by a dead body and wonder how it happened and get curious. Or animals out in the wild, if you sleep next to a deer carcass, some predators are going to come looking for it, right? Or dangerous scavengers in a pack of some kind. Something like that always happens, right? So that makes sense. I like that little tidbit. I like that. You know, improvise, adapt, and overcome. Or something like that.
Pickup was grisly. There were hundreds, maybe thousands of dead staff all piled up. There was no smell, which was a blessing. Apparently, in addition to not bleeding, these things don't rot either. My curiosity got the better of me while we were unloading them, so I took a look at one of the more cut up ones. They're just skin, or something that looks like skin, all the way through. No muscle, no bone, no organs. Are they even really alive in the first place? It certainly seemed like they have bones when they're moving around, pounding on the walls. And I'm sure I felt more resistance than just skin when the knife went in during the night. Maybe something happens to them when they die. Just one more thing on the ever-increasing list of weird shit that goes on in here, I guess. Something occurred to me. After the staff...
This thing looked like it's got a potato on its head. This looks like a potato. Looks like you could just chop that sucker right off and then ground it into mush, you know, after you boil it for like a couple of hours. And then throw some butter in there with some salt. Mix it up, throw some cheese and meat inside and maybe some jalapenos and a little bit of spicy seasoning, and there you go. Yummy nummy. That's just what I thought of when I saw this. Let's continue.
Attack the other night. Every time you see a situation like this on TV...
I just realized my microphone was off. Oh, why is my brain not working? I got concussed too hardish, I guess. Any shoe. But yeah, when I saw this, to repeat everything I just said, I thought about a potato. I was like, potato head? Real life potato head. Now, it looks like you could chop this straight off and like boil it for a couple hours and then mush it into nothing and then throw some butter on there with some salt and pepper and throw jalapenos on top. And maybe some fried bell pepper. Mix it all in there. Oh, that sounds so good. Throw in some bits of cubed steak. Yeah, that sounds really good. Anyway, let's keep going.
TV or in a film, like it's the end of the world or everyone is trapped on an island or whatever. Once groups like ours start to form, people always seem to turn on each other, fighting for food or dominance or whatever else. That hasn't happened here. Apparently people from other towns come by from time to time, just to check in or occasionally trade if they're short on something. But everything is always cordial. Friendly, even. Maybe it's the threat of the staff, or perhaps the constant restocking of supplies in the shops means there's nothing much to fight over. Maybe people are just better than they're generally given credit for. That's a nice thought. I think I'll go with that one.
There's some kind of saying. It's like you're only ever like 6 meals away from from violence or something like that, or the collapse of society or some shit. Like, you're only ever like 6 meals away from violent revolution or rioting or something like that. It was something like that. But yeah, when human beings start to go hungry, and they go immediately towards hungry, desperate human beings will do anything. Literally anything, including eat each other. That's why I tell people all the time. I don't as much fear anything else in nature than my fellow human beings. Especially the desperate ones. If someone's... And that's why, people hate this when I say it. They really hate this when I say it. But I'm like, look, if we're in a survival situation and you turn into a liability because you are desperate and you're panicking and you're trying to take the easy way out by taking from everybody else or killing everybody else, or hell, even dragging everybody down, you're either getting left behind or one of the two is going to happen. But people hate me for that. They're like, no, you should try to save everyone. And I'm like, no. If you're not contributing to the group and you're not helping us to survive and to get through this, and you're not being cooperative, you're becoming a liability to everybody else. Them's the facts. And so there's only two ways to deal with that kind of liability. Either cut them loose or, make sure they won't attract any others to you. Right? If you get what I mean. There's only two ways to deal with it.
A dozen people showed up at the gates this afternoon from a town called Trolleys. Apparently the staff broke through the walls and tore the town apart during the night. These 12 are the only survivors out of over 100. We let them in, obviously. One more point in the human decency column. Later, I asked if anyone knew how many of these towns were out there. Between us and the new folks, we managed to come up with over 20 names. 20 towns filled with people, and who knows how many beyond that. The motto for this place should be, how is that even possible? Surely someone, somewhere, must be looking for the thousands of people that must be in here. I've been here for a little over 2 months now. Not that much changes, as it turns out. A couple of new people showed up. Same story as the rest of us. Nice little trip to IKEA, and suddenly they're trapped in Billy Bookcase's house of faceless weirdos. The staff attack the exchange once or twice a week. We kill them and haul off their bodies. Sometimes they hurt some of us first. They killed a guy called Jared a couple of weeks back. It was awful, frankly. Turns out, regular humans still bleed in here, even if the staff don't. We tried our best, but none of us are doctors. Jared was a good guy. He deserved better. We all do. It occurred to me that a couple of days after that, none of us were really looking for a way out of here. I don't even know where we'd start.
It's an interesting interpretation, right? Because you could tell that that they have like an edge of desperation to them. Because he said, and I quote, he deserved better, we all deserve better, right? Of course, he's including himself in that. But here's the thing, is that when it comes to deserving anything, right? Quite honestly, that word is a bit of a paradox, just in existing, right? Sure, you deserve to reap the benefits and rewards of your labor, but is it actually directly owed to you, right? That's a question. It's not me like trying to espouse no dumb stuff, right? But it is a question. It's like, look, if nothing is actually truthfully guaranteed except for our death, that's the only actual guarantee in our lives, is that we are going to die. That's it. That's all. then is it fair to expect what we deserve? Is essentially where I'm trying to go here, right? You know, is it even a good use of time, attention, and energy to think you deserve anything, right? Just a question that popped in my head. Let's continue.
One of those quadcopter things with a camera attached buzzed past Exchange today. I thought it meant that someone was finally looking for us, that help was on the way. Apparently it's not the first time this happened, though. Same thing happened a few months ago, and everyone is still here. No idea if it saw us. It didn't stop if it did, just kept flying until we could no longer see it.
Note: based on recovery time of the journal, this entry appears to line up approximately with our first successful test piloting a drone inside SCP-3008-1. Analysis of footage shows a walled settlement under a sign labeled Exchange and Returns. Attempts to relocate the settlement failed. Origin of previously sighted drones is unknown.
I started talking to people about the stuff they miss from home during dinner today. Probably not the best idea I've ever had. Everyone seemed pretty down after. A bunch of people here have families. Husbands and wives, kids, dogs. Franklin apparently has a pet llama, though I'm not sure I buy that.
You don't know what he likes and dislikes. Hey, llamas could possibly make great, awesome pets, right? Wait, is it llamas who spit or is it just camels? Because I know camels spit on you. I know they do. I've had one spit on me, and it wasn't fun. I wanted to shoot the sucker. Oh man, just remembering it.
But apparently some of the people here have some seriously odd gaps in their knowledge. 3 of them had never heard of the International Space Station. 2 of them seemed to think it was the Prime Minister, and one of them had apparently never heard of the Statue of Liberty. I believed them too. They seemed just as confused as the rest of us. The more I thought about it, though, the more it started to explain a few things. What if the reason no one is looking for all us missing people is because we haven't all come from the same place?
Alternate dimensions and different realities that branch off or don't branch off. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? At this point, it's just expected. At this point, it's just expected. But sir, man, I keep forgetting to turn my mic off. But yeah, at this point, it's just expected. Multiple branching realities and alternate dimensions, and people are all getting sucked into this one point in time and space that seems to go on infinitely, and there's monsters here and stuff. Just more SCP nonsense, just more SCP stuff. That's all it is. That's all it is. Nothing to see here. No madness-inducing stuff here. Now take your amnestics.
This is gonna sound weird. Maybe that should be the motto for this place. But what if all the people here have come here from different dimensions, realities, whatever you call it? I've seen enough TV shows to know the drill. Sarah comes from a place where there's no Statue of Liberty. They didn't launch a space station where Wasim is from. If everyone here came from different places, even from ones that seem identical, there'd be no huge missing persons panic, no mass search. We'd just be a blip, a single missing person in a world of non-stop news. Well, that was a fun train of thought.
So, in pretty much any survival situation, I really hate the word because I'm a realist. I'd rather get it out of the way personally and be like, no one's coming to look for me. No one's going to notice I'm gone till it's too late. And I'm dying out here. Now, does that mean that I'm just going to sit there and accept my fate? Of course not. I'm going to do everything I can to adapt, survive, and make it through, right? But I'm still going to set that as my objective, my realistic expectation, right? That's what I'm going to set it as. Because if you're hoping for something, you're going to be under a lot, at least in my experience, there's a whole lot more stress, a lot more anxiety, a lot more panic, depression, and just desperation that can overwhelm you. So, instead of, hoping in any way for anything, I'm just going to focus on what's in front of me and either keep myself alive long enough, adapt, learn where I'm at, keep my situational awareness around me, and keep myself going just by making sure I get through the day, right? Instead of hoping and then, I heard a plane. Oh, maybe the plane will see me, and I'm going to run for like a few miles chasing the sucker, and then it's gone. And then I'm like, no. Not for me, Chief. I'm going to focus on making sure that I'm good for the day, right? And night in some places. But a lot of people, most people, they need hope. They really do need hope. Because hope drives them to do more, drives them to keep going and to persist and to consistently move forward if they have hope. And that's for most of your average folks. Not everybody's crazy like me and it's just like, well, guess I'll probably die out here, but I'm going to make sure I'm good each day. A lot of people will probably look at that and be like, Now, does that mean I'm going to totally and completely try to shatter everybody's hope that's around me? Of course not. I'm going to have to try to keep it going, right? You have to maintain morale by giving them that hope. By giving them a semi-realistic objective can even help. Okay, we got to figure out where we are, and if we can't do that within a few hours, and we know for a fact we are lost, all right, now we need to start planning how we're going to survive out here. We need to build shelter. We need to see what kind of weaponry we got. What do we immediately have in stock that can keep us going? And, we need to figure out more about the area that we're in. We need to do recon so we know what type of food and stuff is around. Are there animals? Is there good drinking water? What plants are poisonous and what aren't? All that kind of stuff, right? So, yeah. Semi-realistic, right? Because it sounds like you're planning to survive until you can be found, but you're not saying we're going to be found implicitly. But you're allowing them to make that assumption for themselves, right? And then if they need that bolstered, all they got to do is be like, look, okay, people are bound to notice that we're gone. And some of us said where we were possibly going. So we gotta make it through this until they can, maybe possibly find us. And if they don't, well, if we get good enough out here, then we can start moving on our own and affect our own rescue, right? Stuff like that, right? And I'm just putting it very simply. I'm chopping it down very far. A lot of people are probably going to be like, no, there's so much more to it than that. But not really. Anyway, let's continue.
Just realized that yesterday was the 6-month anniversary of my arrival here. I wonder if IKEA sells party hats. The routine around here has remained more or less the same. More new folks show up, one every couple of weeks or so. Food supplies go up and down, but we've never actually had a major shortage. Occasionally we get a visitor from one of the nearby towns, usually checkouts or aisle 630. We check in with each other from time to time, occasionally trade supplies if someone gets particularly low on something. It's comforting, in a way. A reminder that we aren't alone here. Some small glimmer of civilization. Sometimes they bring medical supplies. Apparently there's a pharmacy a few towns down from checkouts that gets restocked every now and then, so they share out what they can. I've never heard of an IKEA with a pharmacy before, but at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if someone stumbled on an IKEA organ harvesting lab. Would certainly explain the staff. Speaking of our faceless jailers, their attacks have been getting worse lately. 3 or 4 times a week now, with twice as many staff as there used to be. No idea where they all come from, or why the attacks have increased. We tried following one of them during the day a few weeks ago, me and Sarah. Wanted to see if they led back to a staff room or something. Didn't seem to go anywhere though. Just randomly walked through the aisles. We had to turn back before we found anything.
I wonder if the staff are kind of like the wave NPCs in like a some kind of like Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies, the first one, right? Not Black Ops 2. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not Black Ops 2. I'm pretty sure it's Black Ops 1, where you can like run around the theater for freaking ever in a circle and just keep evading and shooting down all the zombies. You know, what if like with the increase of the population of each town, then the number of staff that will approach that town will also increase in number? What if that's the case? Just like waves and waves of enemies getting bigger and bigger and tougher as you go through Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies. The first one, not the latest ones. I wonder. That could be it. Let me know what you think down below.
We've been reinforcing the walls, trying to arm ourselves better. Certainly no lack of materials to use. Wasim has been making more crossbows, but it's pretty slow going. Too bad IKEA doesn't sell guns. Never thought I'd say that.
Note: no new personnel have entered SCP-3008 at site in the time span indicated in this entry.
The attacks are getting bad now. Almost every night, and with so many staff that the bodies almost pile high enough for others to climb the walls. I think we're in real trouble here. I think exchange is done. We got hit pretty bad last night. Not many casualties, but the wall is wrecked. We finally figured out why the attacks have been escalating too. A box of supplies had a chunk of one of the staff in there. No idea how it happened, but apparently a piece of one will draw them as well as a full body. Too late now, in any case. There's too many bodies for us to haul away and still have time to fix the wall before midnight. Candace has called a meeting. I suspect there will be talk of abandoning exchange. Maybe try and get shelter at the checkouts or something. It's already getting late though. I don't think we'll have time to make it. Maybe some of us will. I was fine for that first week out in the dark after all. But then, how often can I keep getting lucky?
You have to be lucky all the time. Those who are trying to get you only have to be lucky once.
I'm only writing this for a sense of closure, I guess. For me, or for anyone who finds this. If this is the final entry here, I hope whoever is reading this is doing so from outside of this place. My biggest fear. If I do die tonight, I'll just wake up here again in the morning.
Note: this is the last entry. It is assumed that while he was attempting to reach the checkouts settlement, he was separated from the rest of his group by pursuing SCP-3008-2 instance and happened upon the exit.
So he made it out? Or do they not know if he made it out? Bub, so many questions.
Oof. I've been to IKEA a few times, and that guy's recollection, not that different from mine. Just saying, that place is a war zone. Also, why do I keep on getting assigned interdimensional SCPs? I don't know. Anyway, I think that about does it for today. Thank you very much for listening, if indeed you still are, and you are all dismissed. Go away. I'm just kidding. Goodbye.
Okay. Cool. So that was from that was a request from No Run in my Lobby. SCP-3008, the Infinite IKEA, Euclid Extra-Dimensional SCP. Very interesting. Very interesting. What did y'all think? What did y'all think? Me, I was kind of like, could it be a place in between multiple dimensions? Who knows? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Alright, y'all know what time it is. You like the Vulcan, you like me, you like this content, you like SCP, then please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Then hit the real subscribe button called notification bell so you guys get videos when I post them up. And then comment down below what your thoughts, opinions, whatever else are. Please do that. And then, better than the notification bell is actually getting into Discord. Link is in the description box down below, or you could just look up Blastcat Badger's Discord by going to discord.com, downloading the app, or hell, I think it actually still works on the browser, and looking for Blastcat Badger server, and it's the only one on Discord that has that name, just so you know. That also being said, also if you want to support the channel, the cheapest way to do it, and easiest way, is to click the button behind the subscribe button that's called the join button. There's two different tiers, okay human and decent human, right? Both of them are really cheap, set and forget, easy as pie, and the more of y'all that sign up, the better things will look. So, that being said, be good. Be safe. Make good life for yourselves. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Blastcat Badger out!